welcome to Hire We Go, where we're chatting all things talent acquisition transformation. Whether you're an HR vet or someone who's simply fascinated by how to find, attract, and engage talent, you are in the right place. I'm your host and director of solutions here at Joveo, Ashlie Collins, and joining us today is my good friend, Leandro Cartelli, CEO and founder of Lana Talent. I am so thrilled to have you with us today. Why don't we kick things off by you telling us a bit more about yourself and Lana Talent?
Thank you for having me. It's exciting to talk to you. We go way back, so I'm happy to have this conversation today. I've been in talent acquisition for more than 15 years now. Been in global companies like Accenture, startups, tech startups in Latin America, always leading strategies to attract talent. I founded about a year ago Lana Talent with the idea to bring that experience from big companies to smaller businesses, and we help them mainly hire and staff in Latin America. I'm Argentinian, biased towards talent in Latin America, so that's our sweet spot.
As well you should be. And keen to get your take on something that businesses consistently get wrong about how they find, engage, and retain top talent.
Yeah, and I think maybe it sounds a bit cliche, and people have heard this before, but the fact that TA tends to be seen and managed as a transactional function and not strategic one, and I think it continues to be one of the biggest misses today, and that's something we've been talking in the industry for a long time now, and I think it shows up typically in three ways. One is when it comes to finding talent. You have both. I think on the spectrum. That don't really think about strategic planning in terms of the role and the org design and long-term needs. But then, large corporate, very focused on process, lack flexibility, and many times get detached from reality and the actual need of the business in that place at that time. So I think that's really a big one. The second one is how we engage with talent, right? We sell the role, we talk about what the business needs, but candidate experience continues to be a big problem. Unfortunately, we see it all the time, and so companies don't communicate culture and purpose and don't build a positive experience for people. There's ghosting. We hear it a lot everywhere. So I think that's in the experience, and then I think the last part is retaining talent. And I do talent acquisition, but I talk about retaining talent because it starts with hiring. And I think we forget that many times. Like about 40% of turnover is early turnover. And people decide to leave, when they have a bad experience with their process, even if they decided to join or they have a bad onboarding. And so those mismatches and the lack of planning and strategic thinking is a big pain point, I think, for businesses.
Yeah. And do you think that, like, on the candidate experience side of the house, like, do you think are like some of the quick wins or low hanging fruit that folks could, take advantage of to improve in that experience?
Yeah, I think there's a couple of things, right? One is being very transparent in terms of expectations. I think, miscommunicating expectations is a big issue. Sometimes businesses, and they don't even say it, right? We will come back to you in a week or 2 weeks, or, this is going to take a bit longer, right? Just bear with us. And many times we know recruiters are just overwhelmed with so many open positions. So being very intentional in designing. Now, there's a lot of technology out there to do, right? Being very intentional in designing communications that keep candidates engaged, that also give them outside of, that's the basic, but it fails a lot of times. The other is just trying to, I mentioned this, focusing on selling the company and what we are, but many times we don't really give candidates an actual view of what the company, a culture looks like and what a day-to-day is. And so maybe creating connects with teammates, right, during the process, informal connects. I know, for example, and I love this, Salesforce has this program where they have leaders available to connect with candidates, and candidates can choose to reach out and have a conversation with them. And I love that, right? Because it's informal. The business leader doesn't even know, they know they're talking to a candidate, but they don't have a stake in the process. They're just there to answer questions and show what they're all about. And I think creating that makes a huge difference when it comes to the experience.
I love that. And I especially the idea too of like connecting folks with teammates, but who are actually doing the role and can give an honest representation of the good, the bad, the ugly, because the reality is no company is perfect. There are going to be things that you love, things that you don't, and being able to walk into a decision-making process, one of the biggest decision-making processes you'll make in your life is from an informed standpoint. It's just awesome. And I think it goes a long way to, establish credibility with the company and make people feel good.
Yeah, and I think it also comes to the first point on setting expectations and communicating. It's not a bad thing, right? I mean, yeah, this is where we are as a business. These are the challenges. This is what's hard, right? And I think we need to treat people. Candidates are not kids, right? I mean, they know what they're getting into, and so help them make the right decision by being transparent. And that's probably going to be a good selling point. Hey, these are all the things that are broken, but we need your help in fixing them. Exactly, and I think that's really good, and you're not going to find any surprises. You didn't tell them that they're joining, a magic world where nothing bad happens. You were very honest, very transparent. They know what they're finding, and they're actually excited to find those challenges.
Yeah, absolutely. So let me ask you then, if you had a magic wand, my friend, what would you change about talent sourcing in 2025?
Yes, what a year to ask that question, right? I think I would probably try to, make sure that the noise disappears. And I think we hear, when I say noise, is, candidates, on the one side, talent acquisition professionals get bombarded with candidates. There's a lot of AI working on the candidate side. On the other side, candidates just can't cut through and get to the right opportunities because of, there's so much in the middle. And I think just finding a way that we can cut through the noise, getting the right person in front of the right opportunities, making those connections. I've been hearing on when I talk to candidates, their frustration. They apply to a lot of jobs, they don't get any answers, but they're many times just doing standard applications using AI, in bulk, and that's never going to work, right? So I think just maybe cutting through all that noise. I think what we're seeing in terms of the AI transformation is amazing, but maybe don't forget the human part of this process, and just trying to do a balance between one of those things, like make technology an enabler and a connector, but real one, rather than just high volume, no one cares, kind of things, like we're seeing a lot of times today, and bring the human back. Well, it's not gone, but just keep it very human.
Yeah, I love that. Use the AI as a means to get rid of the admin so that you can spend more time connecting and building those meaningful connections. I 100% agree with you. Well, thank you so much for sharing your experience, your insights, your knowledge with us today. And thank you all for tuning in, and we'll catch you next time.